Okay.
record to this computer. So recording in progress, and
Yeah.
I will find something that we can use for visual material. Hold on. I've got loads of pictures. I've always thought that pictures are some of the best. I'm just going to let my cat out because he's waiting and he
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
to doesn't
Definitely.
like to wait. He's quite an impatient cat.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't think you've done a spot the difference before. Let's have a
No, no,
look.
no. Yeah.
I'll see if I can find a good one. Unfortunately, some of them are very small, and that's what makes them quite
Oh.
difficult. Let's try perhaps this one if it's the one I think it is. Hold on a second. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's try this one. And I'm going to need to share my screen, and I'll try and yeah, there it is. Okay, can you see this picture?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm able
excellent.
to. Yeah.
And yeah, you need to see both pictures. That's let me make it as big as
Yeah.
possible. It is quite hard to yeah. Perhaps I'll zoom in a little bit just
Yeah.
to show you what's going on. I can help you with some of the parts, but find some of them. But can you see any differences? Perhaps I'll come out a little bit. You can direct me as well. Tell me if you want me to go up, scroll up, scroll
Yeah.
down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep. So you can start in the bottom right corner. Can you
Yeah.
see
Bottom
anything?
right corner, the hugging couple,
Uh-huh.
are seen looking at a map or something in the
Good. In the bottom picture, they're looking at the map. Good.
map. And the person, I mean, the person crossing the street, that is on the
So what
zebra
what
crossing
and
the
what are
street.
they doing in the top picture? What are they doing? If they're looking in the map in the bottom picture, in the top picture, they are
Maybe kissing.
yeah, they're kissing, they're hugging, they're cuddling. Yeah,
Right?
excellent.
Yeah. And
Okay,
then, so in the bottom picture, we see two people crossing the street. I mean,
good, good.
and there is only one person in the above picture or
In the top picture, we usually say in
top
the top
picture.
picture, top and bottom, we usually say in the top picture, the woman
Okay.
with the baby is still on the pavement. Yeah, she's not on the pedestrian
Yeah.
crossing. Good,
Yeah. Then
excellent. That's two.
two. How many other are there? Is there any
There are
number? I
10.
mean,
There are 10. Yeah,
10.
10
Oh,
differences. I
10.
think you could even see 11, but good. Keep an eye on the bottom right corner again. Can you see any
Okay.
difference there?
Mm, I couldn't see any. I don't see.
Well, there's a slight one
And
roundabout.
the doggies, two
Uh-huh.
doggies are there.
Good. The man has two dogs
Mm,
on leads. Good. And they're a lead when you're walking them along.
mm.
Good. And he
Okay.
only has one dog down here.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now
And
have a look
then
in.
the bicycle also.
Good.
Yeah. It's a motorcycle in the bottom picture, I think.
Good.
And it's a bicycle in the top picture.
Excellent.
Mm,
Okay. Any other
and
differences? Keep an eye on the top right now.
um,
If I leave it there, you should be able to see it. The top right corner.
yeah, I mean, people are missing there. They've already crossed. The children, I think,
Yeah.
they
Good.
already crossed the road. Yeah.
Good. What have they bought in the top picture?
And the topic is, yeah, it should be ice cream. They
Yeah,
bought
they've
ice
already
cream,
bought
I
ice
think.
cream. They're licking their ice creams. Yeah,
Yeah.
as they walk across the road.
Yeah.
And in the bottom picture, they are still
They're still buying it.
good
Buying the
buying
ice
them.
cream.
Yeah, buying them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
And
Okay. Anything else? Have a look at the car
mm,
now.
the car. There is the cat on the car.
Good.
Its position changed.
Its
It's
pose
sitting
has
in the,
changed. Good.
yeah,
Its pose.
yeah, pose
Good.
has changed.
So what's its
And
pose in the top picture and what's its pose in the bottom picture?
in the top picture it was sitting, and
Good.
in the bottom picture it was standing. Actually, it's like purring, purring,
Maybe it's
breathing.
purring. I'm not sure. I think in the bottom picture it has seen the dog and it has tried to make itself look big. I think that's what
Okay.
cats do. Yeah, they put all of their hair on end to try to look big. I'm a big
Maybe
lover of cats.
uh, it's trying to intimidate the dog. Can I
Yeah,
say that?
exactly. Yes, definitely, definitely. It's trying to intimidate the dog. It's trying to look big, scare the dog away. I don't think the dog is intimidated. He's smiling. He doesn't mind at all. I think he likes the cat. But yeah, excellent, excellent. Very good. Any other differences in that area?
Yeah, the traffic man is it? I mean,
Good.
just
Yeah, I
behind the
agree. Yes, it is. I agree. That's a traffic warden. Traffic warden.
warden. Okay.
Yeah, let me find the
So he was looking at his watch in the top picture, and
good.
in the bottom picture he was.
Good. I think he's writing a parking ticket down here, or she's
Okay.
writing. I'm not sure if it's he or she, but yeah, the traffic
Okay.
warden is writing a parking ticket.
Parking ticket.
Excellent.
And then
What about the boy wearing the t-shirt with a star on it? Can you see any differences there?
boy. The topi. See, topi. What? The hat is missing.
Good. He doesn't have a baseball cap in the
Yeah.
bottom picture, or sunglasses. Yeah.
Yeah. Both. So two differences.
Yeah,
And
indeed. There are a few subtle ones up the top here. Look at the joggers as well, the people who are jogging.
ah, yeah. Maybe his pose also changed. Maybe
Yes.
the walking. Yeah.
Gone. What's the
The
difference in the
hand
poses?
gesture. Poses.
Yeah, what are they doing in the bottom picture, or what is she doing? How can we
In
say
the
this?
in the bottom picture, maybe she's saluting. Oh,
Saluting.
no,
Yeah, it does look like that. I agree. I think she's just wiping her
she's
forehead.
wiping her sweat. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, wiping the sweat off her forehead. Exactly,
Sweat,
wiping the sweat off her forehead.
sweat.
And we
Can
always use that off the surface.
okay? Can I say perspiration? Is it technical term or?
Yeah, she's perspiring. You can. She's perspiring. It's a Latin-based word. And always,
Okay.
if there's a Latin-based word and a Saxon word, an Anglo-Saxon word, then the Anglo-Saxon is more everyday English and the Latin word is more formal English, academic English. Yeah, and so I would say that perspire sounds formal and academic. Sweat sounds like what everybody says every day. Yeah, but I mean,
Okay.
perspiration is correct. Perspire is correct, certainly. And we say antiperspirant for, the deodorants and things like that. And so, yeah, it's still a good word, but it is more formal, more academic.
Dave, I mean, putting formal words in everyday speech, does it sound odd?
It depends who you're talking to, I would say. It doesn't sound odd, but it does sound formal. I wouldn't say it sounds odd, and it depends who you're talking to whether they consider it odd as well. I wouldn't consider perspire or perspiration odd, but I would consider it formal. Yeah, so it's really up to you which one you choose. But if of course if you're in an academic exam, then it's good to stay with academic vocabulary.
Okay, in the picture they were
Uh-huh.
cuddling up, right? We talked about them. So in that context, if I use embrace, would
Yes,
it sound odd?
it sounds formal. It sounds formal. Embrace, certainly. Hug and cuddle are much more common in everyday English than embrace. But you will see embrace in literature all the time.
Yeah,
And you do,
yeah,
you see
yeah.
academic, people want to use a wide range of vocabulary when they're writing literature. And so very often you do see formal academic terms. You certainly see Latin-based words as well. Yeah, and so I mean, we've got a lot of Latin-based words in English, and I think very often they sound formal. Very often there's a phrasal verb instead of the the Latin word, and that will be the one which we usually use. And I just mean on
Okay.
a day-to-day basis, and I mean youngsters as well, and adults on a day-to-day basis. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
I think we
Uh,
found all of them here. I think that's more or less all of them. Can you see any more? The only other thing I can see is the shop door.
yeah. Yeah, there are people standing before the shop door. Yeah.
Not before. Well, you can, and it is used like that, meaning in front of, but it's rare. It's rare that you see you normally use it for before a person and not before a building. Yeah, so you
Okay.
can say,
Okay.
before me stood a man. You can certainly say that. That's 100% correct. And it's all inverted, the structure. Yeah, you start with the prepositional phrase, before me, then you have the verb stood, and then you have the subject, a man, and so that's quite weird to have the subject at the end. But you can do that, and you will see that in literature again. But you don't usually say before a building to mean in front of a building. Only use before plus a person. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And one more question,
please.
using a preposition at the beginning of the sentence,
Uh-huh.
is it
It's
correct, or at
yeah,
the end of
sure.
the sentence?
You can use a preposition at the beginning of the sentence, and we very often do. Yeah, I think we often front prepositional phrases. Yeah, and say in the morning, at the start of the sentence. Why not? Certainly on Saturday, why not? We do very often. And when you front a prepositional phrase, you often see that inversion. Down the road lived a man. Yeah, instead of, I mean, you can still say down the road a man lived, you can, but you very often see this inversion when you have the fronted prepositional phrase.
Okay. And what about who and whom? Is there any difference? Who are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
to? Whom are you talking to?
One of them's wrong. It's whom are you talking to is technically, well, I mean, they're both correct in everyday English. They are both correct in everyday English, certainly. But if you, hold on, let me find a chat. 1 second.
Okay.
There it is. Here it is. And so, whom is the object. It's more like the word him. And who is the subject. It's more like the word he. Yeah. And so if you want to know which one you should be using in academic English, you do a little test and you think, I am talking to him. So it's whom are you talking to? Because the whom is the object. I am talking to him. And we know it's the object because him is the object. Yeah. But in everyday English, nobody ever uses whom. Everybody just uses who all the time. But yeah, in academic English, it should be whom. Whom are you talking to, and not who? But no, nobody speaks like that. Everybody just uses who for whom all the time in everyday English. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh, to whom are you talking? Is it correct? I mean, or
Yeah,
who
yeah,
am
that's correct as well. To whom are you talking? That's super formal, I would say, with a fronted, yeah, with it fronted before the whom. To whom are you talking is very, very, very formal, even more formal than whom are you talking to. And you
I?
can always do that. Whom do you live with? For example, whom do you live with? You can do it like that, but most people will say, who do you live with? Yeah. With whom do you live? Sorry, I'm trying to give you that one. With whom do you live
Yes.
is also possible, but most people say, who do you live with? And they just use a who. Yeah.
Yeah, because in literature, I studied that there was a contention between Ben Jonson and Dryden regarding the use of the preposition to. I mean, preposition at
Okay.
the beginning of the sentence and at the end.
Okay. And what was the argument? I haven't heard it before, but I know Ben Jonson and yeah, the playwright.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Dryden.
Dryden used to scold Ben Jonson for his use of the preposition at the beginning of the sentence.
Okay. Okay. Didn't like it. Well,
Yeah.
I understand Dryden in modern English. It's rare that we do that. In informal situations, we'd never do it. And I even tell students, if you want to sound natural, put the preposition at the end of any question, not at the start, at the end of any question. But I'm certainly, I understand it very easily, immediately if somebody fronts the preposition. There's nothing wrong with it. It just makes it sound more formal. But generally
Okay.
speaking, yeah, put prepositions at the end. Who do you live with? Who are you talking to? Yeah, what are you thinking about? We put the preposition at the end in everyday
Okay.
situations. Yeah,
Yeah. And one more thing, I heard that
please.
there is still an ongoing debate between the University of Oxford and Cambridge regarding the comma. Is it
Yeah, and it's
correct?
annoying. Of course, yeah, the Oxford comma. Yeah, it's annoying. Um, in fact, there are so many different. You read so many different things about commas. It's really irritating. The argument is about what should we do when we have a list? Should it be should you have a comma before the and, basically? Should there be and that's called the Oxford comma when you have a comma before the and, but sometimes they call it the Harvard comma, sometimes they call it the serial comma. It's got a few different names. The Americans always put it in. They always put
Okay.
that comma in before the and in my experience, well, when I'm reading literature, I think they always put it in. I think it's very rare that you see someone following Cambridge style, which is, or it seems to me it is, which is the style they expect the kids to learn at school. And I think the kids must be so confused when they get told one thing and then read the complete opposite in all of the books that they're made to read. And so the second one is Cambridge style, where you don't have a comma before the and their logic is that a comma represents the word and so you don't need and, which,
Yeah.
okay, I actually think it's much simpler to just put the comma before the and it's clear because otherwise you often have lists within a list. And when you have
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that, it's much clearer if you just have a comma before the and you have things like a positives. And there's that funny example of, I invited the strippers, JFK and Stalin, or something like that. And it could be the strippers are JFK and Stalin, or it could be some strippers and JFK and Stalin. And it's very, very confusing depending on whether you put the comma in or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I prefer the Oxford approach. I really do. I think it's a more logical approach. And yeah, I get where Cambridge is coming from, but I think it's just led to so much confusion over the years of whether to put the comma in or take it out. And yeah, I blame Cambridge. I do. I think Oxford do a better job in the dictionary, if I'm honest, as well. I think that Cambridge sometimes get the parts of speech wrong. I'm not sure who decides whether it's a subordinating conjunction or an adverb, but I think that they make mistakes there. It seems to me that they're not thinking of what a subordinating conjunction actually does and what an adverb actually does.
That's true. Even identifying the parts of speech without the context is absolutely difficult, I guess.
It is, yeah, because I suppose we take some words and use them illegally, yeah, in a way that shouldn't be possible quite often. And you get some words, of course, which just don't fall into any of the traditional parts of speech, like two plus infinitive. That too is not a preposition,
Mm.
certainly not. And so they usually, when you find this, they usually call it a particle. Yeah, they just call it a particle is a word for just we can't classify this word, and so we're going to call it a particle. And so yeah, two
Particle.
in two plus infinitive is a particle. And sometimes people argue about words like not. Is it an adverb? I would normally call it an adverb. It makes a verb negative. But some people say that it's not the same as a traditional adverb. And okay, yeah, there's probably some argument there that that might be a particle as well. Yeah, and so yeah, I think it is tricky with parts of speech. I really liked Macmillan online dictionary, but it's not online anymore. They closed it, and it's such a shame because that was the one dictionary where you could look up a word and it would list every single function of that word. So if you looked up that, it would say adverb, subordinating conjunction, determiner, pronoun. It would immediately give you all four, and then it would give you examples of it functioning as each and every part of speech. So that was the best dictionary. As far as I could see, it was much better than Oxford or Cambridge. And then suddenly, about 3 or 4 years ago, they closed it down. Just it's not online anymore, so unfortunately. But
Oh.
that was brilliant. That was fantastic. I really liked that. And it was when I was working with a lot of native teachers, and we were doing parts of speech because I was trying to show them that you can look at a sentence and decide, logically, is it an adjective? Is it an adverb? You ought to be able to give it a good stab anyway. And it's rare that you come up against a sentence where you're not sure. But Macmillan really was what we lived by. We always checked Macmillan, and it was. In fact, it was always correct. It was never wrong. It seemed to me, Macmillan, whereas Cambridge could be. You could sometimes see it and you think, well, that's not an adverb. What are they talking about? So yeah,
And-
I'm a big fan of Oxford Dictionary over Cambridge Dictionary, and I think that they're actually right on a lot of the times when they disagree.
Even we had taught about only this Oxford. We never know other kinds of dictionaries also.
I think that that's
And
logical, just because there's more literature that follows the Oxford style than that follows the Cambridge
okay.
style, and so yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me to follow Oxford, and
So even
certain. Go
so even for the punctuation also, it's good to follow Oxford.
Not for
Good.
English school kids because they'll get marked down, and so I would tell them to follow Cambridge just because they're meant to follow that style. But
Oh.
yeah, in all of any other situation, I would actually say yeah, just put the comma in before the and. It makes things easier. It makes things clearer. I think it makes it, easier to structure your lists.
But why are there so many differences when the language is the same all over
It's
England?
just different authorities, and this is it. You don't have one authority in the English language. I think in French language, you have someone in Paris who decides what's right and what's wrong. Same in Russian language, it's someone in Moscow, they decide this is right, this is wrong. But in the English language, you've got America, you've got Australia, you've got Canada, and then even in England, you've got Oxford and Cambridge. And so you have a number of different style guides. I would even call it like that because often it's a question of style more than grammar. And if you check the Chicago Manual of Style, that will say something different to there's a psychiatric association, isn't there? The API or something like that. They're another style guide.
Mm.
I'm not sure why
Mm.
the Psychiatric Association ever run an English style guide, but they're an authoritative style guide as well. So I know there are a number of ones in America which are different. And if you're going for an Ivy League university, you need to understand which style guide they use. I prefer the Americans' approach to grammar. I really do, and you can see it in their GMAT exam that they actually teach grammar. I don't think we do in England anymore. I think for a very long time people have decided that grammar is unimportant and that you don't need to learn it. And I think that's partly because we don't learn foreign languages very often anymore.
Yeah.
And when you don't learn foreign languages, you don't need grammar. And okay, I wouldn't say you don't need it, but because of course it's always useful. But it's obviously much more useful if you are learning a foreign language. And I think in the States they still learn foreign languages. They have a lot of Spanish speakers out there.
Mm.
I think that's why
Even
anyway. Sorry.
sometimes I'm asked, I mean, like you said, sometimes you can use in, sometimes at the, I mean, for the same sentence.
Oh
And
yeah,
they are,
many times. I mean, especially with buildings, yeah, at the hospital, in hospital. Sometimes the article usage changes, and I think that that's important. Yeah, I would normally say he's at the hospital, but he's in hospital. I would usually drop the with the in, and I'd usually use in if he's a patient. He's in hospital
oh,
at the moment. But if somebody's visiting, I'd usually use at. He's at the hospital at the moment. And so
okay.
sometimes there's even a difference in meaning. Uh, it's what I feel anyway. I think that we use them differently like that.
But
But yeah,
but as natives, maybe you will understand. But as a second, I mean, language speakers, we cannot differentiate between those two.
sure. I
And
mean, remember that I would say that it's so slight the difference. If you say somebody is, no, you can't really say at hospital. You can't. It's got to be at the hospital. It does have to have the in there. But yeah, it's very similar to school. Very similar. Yeah, hospital, school, prison, church. He's he's at school, no article, but he's in the school. So it's the opposite way round with school. He's at school at the moment, but in the school. Yeah, I would actually say at school for a pupil, whereas I'd say in hospital for a patient. And yeah, I agree. All of these are nuances. They are really subtle nuances, but they are important naturally. Of course, it's good to get them right. But I
but
mean,
here,
remember that a lot
mm,
of prepositions there's no difference in meaning, and the only difference is geographical. So speak to is more common in England and speak with is more
okay.
common in the US. So sometimes it's just geographical. And I think, you ask 99%, you ask 100 native speakers, what's the difference between in hospital or at the hospital? And 99 will say there is no difference. Yeah. And because they're not worried about these slight nuances. And so they just say there is no difference. They wouldn't think about it first. But I imagine that both come up in Cambridge. If you look up hospital, I imagine that they have both of them. And I'm quite curious now to see if they have both in hospital and at the hospital. Let's have a look. Uh, Give me hospitals in Cambridge. Let's find it in the dictionary. There it is. I've got to go into hospital. Okay. Okay, she spent a week in hospital, and it says US in the hospital. So notice that it's different. Again, it's different whether you're in the US or in the UK. They're saying that in the
At
US, they actually say in the hospital, whereas we would say in hospital.
in
So
hospital.
we were in the UK, we would, if you're a patient, certainly we would say in hospital. But there you go. That's just contradicted what I said for the Americans anyway. The Americans say in the hospital. Yeah, and so this is why these are nuances. They really are, and it depends where you are geographically. Let's see what other ones they've got. Have they got at? There we go. Here, this is a non-patient, and notice they do use the article here, and I would agree that that's what I would normally say. He worked as a nurse in a psychiatric hospital. Yeah, in
Yes.
a psychiatric, not in hospital. Yeah, but in a psychiatric hospital.
If I replace in it with that, is it okay?
You see, look, and this example, sorry, I just wanted to look at these examples. I wouldn't say that. I would say he's critically ill in hospital. Yeah, and not in the hospital. I would drop the article there. Maybe because I'm an English teacher and I'm well aware that when you're a patient, we often drop the article. You know, you sometimes wonder whether whether I'm following the rules that I've learned along the way more than other people, just because I've learned them as rules. Yep.
But here, since it's a second language to us, and we were taught that at school or at the school, maybe during when used in different contexts, will be crossed. I mean,
Yeah, I know what you mean. You'll get across, you'll get a mark down, but actually, it's not as strict as you might think. And I think that this is the thing with English. You get a lot of versions of English. You really do. It's not the same as French where there's one central authority in Paris. It really isn't. There are a lot of authorities, and they're constantly arguing about what's correct, what's not correct. And with articles, it depends over time, articles disappear sometimes in certain phrases. I think in prepositional phrases, you often see this, which is why you get things like in danger, by accident, when these words are very, very countable and can be used with an article for sure. But over time, sometimes articles get dropped before certain things. I suppose people speak in a quick, lazy way. And over time, articles can disappear, prepositions can disappear.
Yeah, and what do you have to say about these? Pronunciation, silent letters in words, Dave.
Silent letters, you mustn't pronounce silent letters like answer. Don't pronounce the W in answer. Don't pronounce the W in sword. Don't pronounce the B in comb or bomb. I mean, we have a lot, don't we? We've got loads of silent letters.
Yeah, why didn't you people drop the letters when they are silent? My husband asked me all about that.
Why don't we pronounce the letters? Yeah, I mean, I suppose that over time, English pronunciation is crazy. Look at those three words: comb, bomb, tomb. The O sound is different as well. O or oo. And why? They look all the same. They look like they ought to have the same vowel sound, but they don't at all. And so,
but and put also. But and put.
Sorry?
But and put. Beauty and PUT.
Beauty? Yeah, beauty.
But and put.
Sorry?
BUT, but.
Beauty? Yeah, you're talking about this word, beauty.
No, BUT, but.
I don't know. Let's type it for us in the chat. Okay, but. Put. Okay, but and put. Yeah, but and put have a different U sound, certainly. Certainly. There are so many words like that in English where our vowel sounds are really hard. I do the pronunciation course because I'm well aware that I think it's really difficult, English spelling. And one thing I can recommend for improving is reading and listening to the audio book at the same time. It really helps you with pronunciation, and it stops the spelling from messing up your mind. Your mind starts to associate the word as it's written with the sound as it's said. And so that's one way you can improve if you're worried about, or if you find that challenging. And I do think it's really hard in English. I know a lot of other languages.
My husband keeps asking me, when you don't want to pronounce it, why don't you drop it? I mean, the letters, the silent letters.
Yeah, they're very often silent. There are lots of words where there is a silent letter or even a silent sound. I mean, I think in words like vegetable, we don't say that. We say vegetable, vegetable, or chocolate. Not chocolate. We miss the O in the middle out, chocolate. And so, there are loads of words with parts that we miss out.
Many places names also have the same thing, right? They are not the pronunciation.
Yeah, indeed. Place names are the hardest of the hardest. That's Worcester. Worcester. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not Worcester or anything like that. It's Worcester. Gloucestershire is like this. Gloucestershire. I think that's how you spell it. Gloucestershire.
Warwickshire.
Yeah, Warwickshire, exactly. You just see so many weird names, and so many times they're spelt completely differently to how you say it. But I would say that yeah, it's very unphonetic English. Over time,
But
it's become extremely unphonetic.
and also the Welsh, the language itself is different, right?
It's
Though they
very
use
different.
English
Yeah,
lettering, yeah, they use English alphabet, but still they're
it's a Gaelic language, and so it's one of the original, or what do they call it, Briton language. It's it's connected to the original Britons that lived here before the Angles and Saxons came over,
mm.
and so there was a Cornish language. It's gone now, but you still see it written on signs in Cornwall. Welsh, Scottish, and Irish. They were all
Mm.
connected to the old Briton language, and so they're all related to the language they spoke in France, in Brittany, in Breton. They had a similar language there in France, and I think it came
Mm.
the original inhabitants of France before they were pushed out by the Normans, I imagine, or someone like that. Okay, we better stop here for today, but that was
Yes, sure, sure.
fantastic. I've got Solino coming up very soon. I have another student coming up,
Okay, okay, okay,
but
okay. Okay.
yeah. I will put this on YouTube if I'm allowed to today. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. I'll see if I'm allowed back on
Okay.
YouTube, but I'll put it on YouTube, and yeah, I will. Of course, I'll organize another class next week at some time, and yeah, perhaps I'll do one earlier in the morning. It is easier for
Uh,
me, certainly.
Dave, please kindly consider my timings, Indian timings, please. I mean, 5.5 hours, we are ahead of you, right? So,
Uh-huh.
so your time should be,
Yeah, oh, indeed.
and
Perhaps it'll be one earlier. It is easier for me at 9 or 10 a.m. So yeah, perhaps we'll do one this week at that time. I'll see. It depends on my timetable, basically.
okay, but like this, if participants are not there, it will be a waste of time to you also, maybe.
Sorry, if go on.
If the participants are not there, even it is a time waste for you also.
If who is not there? Sorry, if who?
Yeah, the participants, the students, because the timings are different, right? From,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
do it different each week, just to get different faces, being honest. And I'm waiting for new students to give me a time, because I want to always try to be try to make them convenient for new students, so that everybody gets at least one class.
yeah,
But yeah, it will change each week. That's why I change it, to make sure that lots of different people can come, because obviously everybody's free at different times.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
got it. Yeah,
Well, I will
okay,
see
bye.
you. I will see you sometime next week or the week after. Keep an eye out on the
Okay,
emails. I'll let you know when they come. As always,
okay,
and
okay.
I'll see
Yeah,
you soon.
okay, bye,
Bye
bye,
bye.
bye,
Bye bye. Bye
bye.
bye.